Presented by State Farm, and it's a road win for the Portland Trail Blazers, who take it 123-109 in the Mile High to take a 1-0 lead and basically reclaim home court against the Denver Nuggets. Really interesting strategy defensively for the Blazers, which we'll get into in a moment. And offensively, they were really good. 123 points, obviously. Good shooting percentages, 29 assists as well. That's Steve Smith. I'm Matt Weiner. Sam Mitchell with us here as well. And Sam, I'll give you the choice. Do you want to talk about Portland's offense or their defense first? Because we can go either way.
Well, let's talk about their offense, because Portland is not known to play great defense, even though they played better defense tonight. Well,
they made one really interesting decision, which we're going to get into in a moment. But we'll start with the offense. Dame, a big night, 34 and 13 assists. And only 6 turnovers for this Portland team as well. They are a pretty low turnover team typically. How good were they on that end of the floor?
Well, I mean, their ball movement, their ability to knock down threes, those two guards, Dame Lillard and CJ, they just cause havoc. Both of those guys can play pick and roll. Both of those guys can take you off the dribble. They both have unlimited range. And the way Dame has been shooting the ball and then passing the ball, that's the thing for this Portland team. We know they can score, but when they're passing and cutting and moving and knocking down threes, that's when they're at their best. And then if they get a little defense, Matt, to your point, if they start playing defense in this series, then it could be over for Denver easily. Because to me, Steve, it's just going to be tough, Smitty, without Jamal Murray. Because you don't have a guard now that can offset Dame and CJ at all when it comes to scoring. So this is going to be an uphill battle for Mike Malone. He's got to go back to the drawing board and figure out how to slow those two guards down.
Not just those two guards, but familiar face in Carmelo Anthony, who came out very hot and finished with 18 on the night. Of course, the storyline is he spent the first 7+ seasons as a member of the Denver Nuggets.
I mean, Matt, everybody said Carmelo was done. Those years he was sitting out, he couldn't find a team. Yeah. It's amazing. You fast forward now, because that's been some few years now, and he comes out and he was so efficient, 6 for 12, 4 of 8, knocking down threes. And what I love is, Sam and Matt, he's still able to get by guys. He also can post up, we know that. But I like how he's playing, efficient, accepted his role, and still a big factor, and still at times could be the best player in the quarter on both sides. And that's the one thing I'm loving about Carmelo. His mindset, his attention to details, his love and passion still for the game after he went through so much. But you said it best. They don't turn the basketball over. And if the Denver Nuggets can't turn them over, they're going to get the shots they want. And defensively, because of so many pick and rolls, they put Michael Porter Jr. in, and also JOKIC. They're getting a lot of good shots and easy shots.
Because they're an ISO team and because they're a low assist team, typically right at the bottom of the NBA in those terms, they put a lot of pressure on their best offensive players to make shots, but they also don't turn the ball over very often. Defensively, Terry Stotts made a really interesting decision tonight, Sam, and that was primarily not to double team Nikola Jokic, which takes away his playmaking ability. He had a season-low 1 assist in this game for Denver.
And I thought that was huge. Look, the Joker's going to get his points. He's going to get his rebounds. But when he gets his other teammates involved, that's when he has his best. Think about this. For a center to average almost 8.5 assists a game, he only had 1 tonight. And we know how Denver loves to play through him. So, again, Mike Malone got to go back to the drawing board, because if Portland's going to play him one-on-one, then the Joker's going to have to be more efficient. Look, I like the fact, Smitty, that he was aggressive. He took 27 shots, but he's got to be more efficient if they're going to play him one-on-one.
Well, and he shot the ball well. He was 14 of 27 for 34 and 16 boards. Smitty, it reminds me a little bit of the old strategy the team sometimes employed against Steve Nash, because you knew he was better as a creator, even though he could score, and they'd basically challenge him, hey, can you score 40 on us? Can you score 45 on us?
And to Matt, I think it's also the same situation here. Who else is on the Denver Nuggets is a playmaker that can make plays for others? And obviously it's been Jamal Murray, mostly Jokic setting guys up. I think Monte Morris, they have missed a lot. They need him, but I think also if you're going to get that many looks, and he shot a great percentage, you got to get more free throw attempts. You can't just be 3 or 4. You got to get Nurkic and other guys in foul trouble. And like Sam said, go to the drawing board right now, but missing Jamal Murray is huge for them. Missing Will Barton is huge for them. This one thing right now is we always talked about Denver offensively. I'm still looking at this team now is where do they get their defensive intensity, especially looking at the starting lineup for those guys. I mean, Austin Rivers is decent.
Yeah.
Campazzo is a little small. And then Jokic and Porter, those guys are not known for their defense.
No, Porter will get picked on in this series more than likely. And Jokic obviously is not a great defender. In terms of the assists, Morris had 5. Facundo Campazzo had 5. That led the Nuggets, but they only had 22 as a team. Maybe they can score enough to win these games without that kind of playmaking, but that's not the way they normally operate.
And also, they don't get a lot of fast break points. I mean, Jokic is not running up and down a lot quick, and I think because they don't have playmakers right now, they don't have a guy like Jamal Murray that takes the pressure off of Jokic. I mean, Sam, I look at it right now he is a guy that can score on the block, Jokic, but he doesn't want to punish you on the block. And that's the one thing I think he's going to have to do. But give Nurkic a lot of credit. He's no small guy for the Portland Trailblazers. You're just not going to go through him.
Yeah, I mean, big fella Nurkic is huge, man. And he can take away a lot of those deep post-up that the Joker like. And again, when the Joker's at the high post, that's what Denver are at their best because they like to run that offense through him. But again, if Portland's going to play him man-to-man and force him to be a scorer, even though he shot 50% tonight, a little bit above 50%, he's got to be more efficient because they're not going to let those other guys have big games. So right now, you're looking at the Joker, Michael Porter Jr., and where they're going to get some offense from, I don't know. But if you can't score, you better play D. And right now, Denver's in trouble without Jamal Murray.
It's not hard to imagine a series in which Jokic averages 35 or even 40 a game and they lose. Because
no, not at all.
Because the playmaking is what makes him really exceptional at his position.
Just one assist. I mean, at one point, Matt, you said he doesn't have a assist, and that was deep into this game.
Deep into the game. At least, I think at halftime, he still had 0 assists, and through the third quarter, he had finally recorded that single assist. That means none, of course, in the fourth quarter as well. Really interesting strategic move, and it'll be interesting to find out what Michael Malone has planned by way of counter. We'll hear from Michael Malone. We're from Terry Stotts as well, and the stars of this game as they contemplate the Blazers' Game 1 win, 123-109. Points as the Nets beat the Boston Celtics 104-93 to take a 1-0 lead in that 2-7 series. Welcome in, everybody. It is Playoff Central Live, presented by State Farm. Steve Smith right there. I'm Matt Weiner. Good to have you with us. Sam Mitchell is in the room as well, but not over here at our table, which is disappointing for us.
Am I supposed to say something?
No, you can say whatever you like.
I can see you guys. And
I know we
guys
can see you.
Just kind of, yeah, I feel like I'm at home almost, but they could have let me stay at home if they're going to put me over here. That's all.
It's nothing personal.
It feels that way, though.
We're short on plexiglass, so we have you over there. Sam, I'm going to go to you first, so you feel like you're involved. Is this what folks expected from the Brooklyn Nets? I mean, it was kind of a rough start for them. They were one of 16, I think, in the first half, or first half from 3-point range. Kevin Durant said afterward, it took a little while. There was some nerves to work out.